Hello friends, and welcome to Escaping the Mouse with your host, me, Breck Rowell. Alright, I got a couple little projects I want to work on in the yard today. I got to be careful. I want to kind of get them done early because we're getting into a heat streak right now in Waco, and they're predicting upper 90s today and maybe low hundreds tomorrow. So gonna kind of try and get it done early in the day and hopefully avoid the worst of the heat. Let me show you what I want to do. This is the planter next to the porch in the front of the house, and I was actually kind of surprised that just about everything came back this year. That thing, whatever there, that was one of these, and that was a casualty. That was really the only thing that that died off. The rest of these things still look pretty good in here and are coming back. You know, it turns out with these things, you just cut them down flush when they die. At the end of the year, they'll start coming back again, and in a few months, this thing will have some really pretty flowers. This was also kind of a surprise here. This was something I planned a couple of years ago and planted here, and I thought it was just a perennial, and I liked it because it had these kind of beautiful flowers, and I thought, okay, well, problem is once they're done blooming, they start looking like that, and that just looks like a weed. But I found out apparently if you cut them off, they'll come back every year. And I wouldn't necessarily plant them in there anymore because they're good for only about 1 week, and then they're done. But you know what? If I have other things in there to look at and all of a sudden these plants are just awesome for a week, that's okay. So what I wanted to do is kind of fill in some of the area a little bit. Not really going to do much probably back here because this is all bouncing back really well here. In fact, I think those are weeds. I'm not even sure if those are, I don't think that's anything I planted. I think that's just a weed, so we probably got to pull those out. But a lot of these things that I do have back here are doing actually pretty well. So I don't think I'm going to touch much back here, but I do want to do some stuff over here and kind of fill this in and make this look a little fuller. Now, filling in an area like this can always be a challenge because it's hard to predict exactly how much sun you get because, first off, the house isn't on a north-south axis. It's actually pointed northeast. And so the sun shadows on the ground are really, really hard to predict. And so do you designate this area as a part sun area, a part shade area, a shade area because it's in the shade a lot of the times? Or is it full sun because when you get late in the afternoon, the sun's coming in from this direction, it just bakes this area. And so it's always sort of a challenge to find something that's going to do well in here. And so like I said, when I find something that does, I tend to kind of cultivate it and keep it going, see if I can keep the area looking nice and full. Now, I was looking at these, and I've had these before. These are lilies of the Nile. And it seemed to me they thrive very well where I had them in my house in California. And the truth is that was sort of a weird sun shade kind of thing too, because it would get full sun in the early morning, and then as it got closer to noon, it would start being like a partial shade because it was under a big palm tree. And then after about 1 in the afternoon, it was total shade. And so that's sort of the extremes that we can get here too. So I saw these here and I thought, you know what, that's me. Let's see what those do, because those are cool. They got a lot of personality. It throws up these, when they get bigger, the stalks will be 3-4 feet tall, and it'll have about a bundle of blooms on the end of it the size of a softball. So, these things got a lot of personality, and if you keep them well watered, they seem to do well. So I decided I'm going to give them a shot here. We're going to put them in the area where they're most likely to get the most sunlight. So this one, that one over there, there, and there. It gets a little more scarce back here. So I'm going to try these out here. I also wanted to get some ground cover in here. And this is just kind of an old-fashioned, ivy clover kind of thing. And I got a bunch of those, and we're going to spread those around. Those, it seems to me, according to the directions, are going to do best in a lower light environment. So I'm going to try starting them off here and see if they'll spread into the other areas. These things are prolific growers, and I kind of want something to cover up the ground because, let's face it, the ground looks kind of gross in some places around here, doesn't it? So, yeah, I think that's going to be our project for today. Let's get all this stuff in the ground and let's see what the clover does. Alright, some little times pass by. I got the stuff in the ground right now. Just kind of give it a nice initial drink. That'll hold it over until I run the sprinklers tonight. I can make an argument, even though we're kind of on severe water rationing, that I'm allowed to water a little bit more frequently if I'm tending to new plants. So this will definitely fit into that category. We're going to kind of give everything a drink in here just because why not, right? But especially the new stuff. See, it's funny, those little things out there. Wouldn't even have imagined those surviving a couple years, but there's like 4 of them in here right now, and they seem to be doing all right. So that's what this yard's always been. It's sort of an exploration of what works and what doesn't. What works continues to come back year after year, and what doesn't gets replaced with something else that hopefully works. Now I think this area here looks a lot better with the Lily of the Niles in it. It looks a lot fuller, right? I mean, I was thinking, it looked a little sparse before, but now it kind of looks like the whole area is filled in properly. And like I said, those Lily of the Niles, they'll get big, so that's good. I hope they do as well here as they did in my yard in California. At the end, when I pulled them out, it was almost a pain to pull them out. They were so embedded. But that's what you want. You want something. You want the perfect thing in there to just take over. And so hopefully this will be the perfect thing. Alright, for those of you who think I milked that watering clip a little bit too long, keep in mind the original clip was over 8 minutes. Alright, and as you can see, I actually haven't done a whole lot on this in the last few weeks. Part of the issue is I'm kind of at a little sticking point right now. I need to get electricity into here, and I got to make a decision right now, or pretty quick, how I'm going to do that. Ultimately, I think the answer lies with this outlet here. This is something that they broke off to create the outlets for the pool pump and the robot that used to clean the pool. So I've got electricity in there and I can get it down to the ground. The question is, how do I get it under the concrete and out to here so I can then trench it over to the planter area. Now, I've got some ideas I'm kind of working on, but I really can't do anything here until I get this resolved, because if I have to do it after this point, then I'm gonna have to pull all the bricks out and it'll never look right again if I try and put them back in there. So it's better to get the electrical issue dealt with, how I'm gonna get the electricity under the wall now, rather than having to take half the thing apart. And I can figure out how to tap onto it later on. I think probably what's going to be the most logical thing here is we're just going to run down the wall. We're going to maybe make like a 4-inch trench in the concrete all the way out here. I'll put my plumbing in and then we'll just patch that. And I'll probably have somebody do that. I don't know, that's maybe something I could do on my own, but I don't know, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. The issue is not going to be patching it. That won't be terribly difficult. The problem will be cutting it. I don't have the tools to do that. So I'll have to bring somebody in that can cut the concrete for me. But as for the patching, I can maybe figure that out later. And then all I got to do is just run the wire out to here. Now what I want to do is I want to get one of those kind of artificial looking rocks that you can put utility things on. I'll hide it in the corner right here, and this will be the main power box for the whole planter thing. And But the main thing I got to deal with is getting it under there. So what I've done is actually got just an old used piece of 3/4 inch PVC. I'm going to cut this long piece off, and we're going to just tunnel it under there now. And then I got a couple of little 1/4 inch turn things that'll lift them up out of the ground so you can see them sticking up a little bit. And once I got that on there, then when I do the ultimate trenching here, all I got to do is just tap onto the end of this PVC. I know that sounds complicated. It'll make more sense when you see it. All right, so this is sort of what I mean by the tunnel here. I'm just going to have a piece of PVC that's going to go under, and the little 1/4 turn piece on the end there and on there are just basically to mark the location so I know where exactly it is in the ground. So when I get to the point where I'm ready, I can dig it up. And what I've tried to do is set it up in a straight line to that outlet there. So hopefully I can come off of that, down the wall, under the concrete, tap into this, right angle over here, and then like the power box I told you is going to be right here in this corner. Because see, this is going to be the end of one of the exits, if you will. I don't know if they're going to actually be exits, but places where it just steps down into the yard if you cross at this point. So I'm going to have to do that, bring that over here, and eventually trench it over here. But at this point I can bury this up, and now I've got the ability to get the electricity underneath and into the planter, which is where I need it. So now I can kind of cover this up a little bit and continue with the placement of the sprinkler, or with the placement of the stones. And you know, like I said, this is going to be a big project, and we're going to be in the hundreds for the next few days. So I don't know, we'll get it done when I get it done. But like I said, until I figure out how to deal with this sticky issue here of how to get electricity over here, this is a band-aid that will at least allow me to continue on with the rest of the project. Okay, so that's sort of the final stage. I kind of buried it back up now and marked it with a couple of flags. So now I know where it is, and when the time comes I can just dig a small hole right here until I get down to it, tap onto the piece, and go over wherever I need it to go. So now we can continue on with this and still give me a little time to figure out how I'm going to work that. So anyway, I think that's all that I have for today. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you next time on Escaping the Mouse. Good night.